You mentioned talent, and that's actually my next question because I want you to solve huge problem. Solve it in 5 minutes, if you would.
Okay,
Uh,
I will try.
all right,
No pressure, no pressure.
no pressure at all. So we have these. I'm sure you've had these conversations from business leaders or organizational leaders where they've heard all what you said. It sounds good, but how do we incorporate diversity in as we recruit new talent
Mm.
that fit our culture, our current culture?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm just going to be, I believe in being unapologetically authentic. So, with that, I will say I detest the notion of culture fit. Absolutely detest it because for me, culture fit says this is who we are. And we kind of, the organization puts itself in a box and says, when you, Yvonne, come into the organization to work for us, you have to fit this way of thinking, this way of being, because we have built this cultural dynamic here. And so you have to fit in with what exists versus culture add, which says, takes a different approach and a different look to say, okay, this is the team that we're hiring for. What do we currently have on our bench today? And let's look at that against where we're looking to go. What are the real goals for this particular team or business unit? And then let's look at what that gap is and let's hire for the gap. Let's hire for someone who's going to bring added value, something we don't already have to the team, to the environment. Perhaps it is they have some similar experience, but maybe they have it in a different industry. But those skill sets are transferable. But through the interviewing process and the contemplation process, we see some things in a particular individual that can elevate the culture of that team, that have some skills that perhaps can get us to that next level of where we want to go. That's the thing I feel like organizations miss. And that's something that recruiters really need to be looking at, that human resources needs to be looking at, that we don't want somebody who's just going to fit in, right? This isn't about plug and play. This is about accepting those who can actually come in and in a positive way disrupt the status quo so that we can expand and go higher. Because when I feel when organizations focus on culture fit, they're actually working against their own best interests to
That's right.
grow, to compete, and to excel in their given marketplace.
They have too many blind spots, and there's no one there either that shares different experiences or different opinions, or who's empowered enough to share those. Right.
Right. And that's that homogeneity that we often see, right? Is where organizations, they hire the same, right? Because they want to make sure that they fit and they're going to gel well with the team, right? And they're not looking at if somebody comes in, for example, I was talking to someone recently and they had some frustrations about a team that they were on. And the individual was looked at as like, well, the team has been working great for X amount of time. And then you come in and you brought something different, and people perhaps weren't gelling with the individual as well as the hiring manager had hoped. And they automatically pinpointed the individual. And what the individual was doing is they were trying to essentially like level up the way that the team was doing things. And they were kind of setting a standard and really had this approach that a rising tide lifts all the boats, right? Like this is something that you guys maybe didn't do before. You weren't looking at something from this perspective, but let's take it to the next level. And instead of the hiring manager and the organization looking at the team and saying, well, there's way too much homogeneity here. This person is right on spot. Like they're actually what we want to see and how we want to grow. They targeted the individual, and the individual, I don't know where they stand right now, but I dare say that they're probably going to lose that individual to another organization because that person is not able to grow and thrive there if they feel like they can't expand, and that the homogeneity of the team is so much more important than the growth of it. And
Right.
so,
Don't rock the boat, right?
right, exactly, exactly. And so, and that's to your point a moment ago about how the blind spots, right, really come into play. But when organizations have diversity intelligence to really develop, motivate, and empower, people can really achieve extraordinary results. And so, but they have to do that work of uncovering their personal biases and prejudices that hamper growth, ideation, exceeding the competition, and ultimate success. And looking at people for who they are, championing them to bring their authentic selves to the workplace, that really does allow for more creativity, more innovation, more problem solving, both individually and collectively within teams and business units. That's when you see organizations are able to take themselves to the next level.
That's right. Level up. That's one of your
Yeah,
terms you
yeah,
like, right?
really. And when you
Uh,
think about it, it's critical, right?
it
To the
is.
global marketplace, organizations interact with people from different cultures and clients.
Yeah.
And so, how can you do that if you don't know how to do that? I always say to organizations I serve, you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. But for some organizations, there's no valid reason why you have not diversified your workforce, but yet you think it's okay to market to and engage, do business with different cultures when you don't even know what it's like to engage with people from different cultures, both in the business setting and oftentimes within even their personal lives.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to leaders who literally have said, I have not physically really shared any meaningful amount of space with someone that didn't look or think like me.
Wow.
And that is to me like shocking, but also really scary because then I start to think about, well, no offense, but like what value do you really have to the organization if you are not a person who seeks growth?